So significations in Hindi, they are known as Karakattwas, Karak Tattvas. And there is something known as significator. Okay. So one is significations. Significations means like Mercury signifies intelligence. So intelligence is a signification of Mercury. And who is significator? Mercury is the significator. Okay. So Mercury is the Karak and intelligence is the Karakatva. Okay. So today we will understand what are the Karakas. Like we will understand the significations of various planets and then we will try to relate it with the significations of houses. Okay. So let us start with Sun. Now Sun, although we have not like covered the significations of Sun as such, but we have used it like in many of the instances. I have told that Sun is a Karaka of soul, Sun is a Karaka of father, Sun is a Karaka of authority. So we have used it, but we have not particularly covered it extensively. So now we'll cover the Karakas of each of the planet properly. Okay. So first of all, Sun. Now Sun is the Karaka. And what are the significations? Significations is soul, Atman. Sun is the center of the solar system. Okay. So, like for all the planets, Sun, all the planets basically revolve. So, all the planets revolve around Sun. So, Sun is the Atman. Sun is the soul. Sun is the one which, like, which gives all the light to our solar system. So it represents heart of the solar system. So it also represents heart of human. Just a minute. Okay. So it also represents heart of human. Sun also represents father. Any figure that is authoritative, maybe your boss or government. So all these like when we talk about relationships, it is representing father, any authoritative figure, government. Like in all times, king is represented by sun. Okay. When comes to body part, heart, bones, eyes, and specifically right eye. These are the parts which are represented by sun. Now, sun stands for leadership. You also like in numerology also we say number one represents sun and number one represents leadership. So sun represents leadership and leader needs to be courageous. And so sun also represents courage. Now it is representing father, it is representing authority. So it would definitely represent status, it would definitely represent dignity. So if you look properly, if all the significations are basically revolving around one same thing: power, authority, government, all these things. So these are all the significations are just revolving around all these things. So sun is the significator of all these things. Now when comes to houses, it represents first house and it represents ninth house. We will cover this how it represents first and ninth house. It is a significator of first house and it is a significator of ninth house. Okay, why first house? Because first house is self, first house is your soul, and sun also represents soul. So if you'll see, sun is the primary significator of first house. We will let me just skip it for now because maybe you will not get it so much now. We will cover all the houses and related significators in once we cover all the planets. Next is moon. Now moon, whenever moon comes, it's basically be mind. Now this mind is not the intelligent mind, it's the moody thing. Like man, in Hindi we call it man. So this is the moon represents man. It represents emotions. Moon represents water. It represents anything which flows, which is not like which is quite moving. It represents consciousness. It represents memory. So when coming to attributes, it presents sensitivity, popularity, daily habits, peace. It basically, see, moon is the most, if you'll see, if you look at the speed of the planets, moon is the most like fastest planet of all. So that, so we call na man is the fastest of all. In Hindi there is a saying, जहाँ ना पहुंचे नहीं नहीं वो नहीं कुछ है कि मतलब there is something कि your fastest what travels the fastest, light, not light, it's your man which can travel faster than the even light, because now moon represents, that's why it represents man, because it can travel very fast. It is the fastest of all planets, and it doesn't like, it also represents travel. Okay, so when someone has a like very, like if someone is very moody kind of thing, so that means it's his moon is very significant in his chart. So if he's very moody, he doesn't stays at a place. He keeps on, and his mind keeps on wavering from here and there. You know, you see your moon today. Moon is in this nakshatra. Tomorrow it is it will change its nakshatra. Third day it will again change its nakshatra. So within 27 days it will change all 27 nakshatras. So moon doesn't wait, like cannot stop. As I told, there was a story also. Remember that moon married all 27 nakshatras, the wives of, sorry, the daughters of
Yeah,
Daksha.
daughters of
Then there was a,
Daksha.
then before that, he like
He was having relationship with Jupiter's
Jupiter's, yeah.
wife.
So
Wife.
all these attributes, somehow whenever you see moon, so you can relate all these attributes. Okay, so that's why it also represents fluidity, because water never stops, like river never stops. It represents anything that flows. So when we talk about body parts, it represents breast, it represents lungs, fluids, left eye. And relationship, it represents mother. It also represents emotions basically. So not just man, it also represents emotion. So mother is the like nurturing, emotional, all these things are represented by uh, moon. So mother is the living, like you can say main representation, a human representation of your nurtureness, emotions, and all those things. So among relationships, it represents mother, public, family, and nurturing, all these things. So these are the significations of moon. The next is Mars. The Mars is the army general. Like uh, वो क्या था, दैट मूवी, उसका नाम मैं भूल जाता हूँ। उसका क्या नाम है, देर वॉज अ मूवी,
Padma.
पद्मावती। पद्मावती में देर वॉज दैट आर्मी जनरल ना, जो जिसने हमला किया था इंडिया पे,
Hmm.
द मेन विलन, रणबीर सिंह
Hmm.
प्लेड, खिलजी खिलजी खिलजी। So whenever you think of Mars, you think of Khilji. No, he was very kind of, he doesn't think twice. He is into energy, he is into action, he is into courage. Like he's very strong personality. You cannot beat him easily. He's so courageous. He can go like he Mars means action, Mars means courage, it means energy. So all these things signifies Mars. Like Mars signifies all these things. Among relationships, it represents younger brothers, enemies, and competitors also. Among body parts, it represents blood, muscles, hemoglobin. Now, it also represents accidents and wounds. Like whenever it, if you are so much aggressive, you are likely to get accidents. You are likely to get wounds. So that's why it represents all these things. Then it also represents conflicts, property disputes, surgery, strength. See, if you look closely, if you will ponder upon it, all these significations are somehow related to what? courage, action, or aggression, more of aggression. And Mars, one thing is missing. Mars also represents lands. Okay, so Mars is a also a signification of land. So that's why property disputes. Now property is there, disputes is there. So property dispute is also represented by Mars. Okay, so now if you go into fight, you are likely to get accident. You are likely to get wounds. So there may be surgery also. So it also represents surgery. It also represents strength. So like surgeons also, like if you talk about job, it also represents surgeons. Okay, so these are the significations of Mars. Now coming about to Mercury, Buddha. Mercury represents intellect, logical reasoning, analysis. So these are like typical engineering kind of, or mathematician kind of things. Someone who has very strong Mercury will have that logical engineering, that kind of mindset. It also represents speech, writing. It also represents friends. See, Mercury, when we started our this series, we saw that Mercury is represented by prince. So it represents prince. It represents कहाँ गया? Speech. Yeah, it represents friends. It represents prince. All these things is represented by Mercury. Also, since it's a young prince, it can be easily influenced by, like, so someone who is more into Mercury, you can easily influence him. And these people are more like, they are, no, since they are Mercury prince, they you can easily like, uh, you can fool them easily. But they have a strong intellect, they have a logical reasoning, like they will use their intellect. So among body parts, it's nervous system, skin, hands, adolescence. Among attributes, it represents communication, learning, dexterity, calculation, all these things. So basically, if you'll see all these significations, if you'll just remember, intelligence, logic, all these significations just move around these 2 points: intelligence, logic, and all these things. Okay. Then Jupiter is the Karaka of wisdom. It represents dharma. See, Mercury also represents knowledge. Mercury also represents knowledge. See, here we see knowledge is there, but this is more of a worldly knowledge. This is the knowledge which we, in today's world, which we need. But Jupiter represents the real knowledge, the wisdom. Where is Jupiter? Sorry. Jupiter represents the real knowledge, wisdom, which in actual sense is the knowledge, which will take you to higher planes. Okay, so this represents knowledge, it represents dharma, it represents expansion. See, Jupiter is also the heaviest planet of the solar system. So it is also said wherever Jupiter sits, some significations of that houses will be like, it will sit on those significations. They will get compressed kind of thing. So among relationships, it represents children, it represents teachers, it represents counselors, wealth. See, all these things are basically related to dharma, wisdom kind of thing, knowledge kind of thing. Okay. Now, among body parts, it represents liver, it represents fat, it represents growth, it represents longevity. Among attributes, it represents fortune, righteousness. See, again, if you follow your dharma, righteousness will definitely follow. Abundance, again, you're following dharma, so there will be abundance, there will be grace. So, all, very right thing. All these things are represented by Jupiter. Also, if you see, if you check your transit, if you check your chart, and if you check the transit, see, Jupiter represents fat. Okay, let's say someone has Jupiter in first house in transit, okay, there are a lot of chances that person will accumulate fat on his face during that period. In 1 year, like Jupiter remains in one house for one period. So whichever body part that particular house is representing, there are a lot of chances that you will because that body part will become fat. There are a lot of chances. So just realize, like just check wherever your Jupiter is, and is this theory coming true or not. So there are a lot of chances for this. For me, Jupiter has just
We need to
sorry.
we need to we need to take the birth chart, and then we need to check the transit chart, which basically, as per the ascendant
Right,
of
let's say,
the birth chart.
right now Jupiter is in Gemini. So check your birth chart, which house is Gemini is which house in your birth chart. Let's say it is first house.
Ninth,
So
ninth house. Ah, okay.
ninth house. So ninth house represents which body part? Now there are chances that there you will gain fat in that particular body part. Okay. So this is how transits are applied. We will learn about transit in later classes. We will cover that also. So next is Venus. Venus represents the desire. It represents, see, Venus represents all these things which we need in today's world. It represents desire, sensuality, love, relationship, luxury. See, attributes luxury, beauty, vehicles, creativity, music. So it also represents creativity. It also represents arts. It also represents luxury and vehicles. So these are the things which we need in today's world. Luxury, vehicles. It represents money also. It's not written here, but it represents money also. Okay. Among relationships, it represents spouse, your love relationship, then arts and comfort. I already told. Among body part, it represents reproductive organs, semen, and semen quality. See, there is a story about Venus, like what Venus did. Like Venus is the guru of Rakshasas. So what he did once is Vish Parva was the demon king, and he was the guru of Vrish Parva, and Vrish Parva once told Shukra, Venus, that these devtas have so much of wealth. They have Kuber, the lord of wealth. So we have nothing with us. How can we compete with devtas? We can never compete with devtas because they have so much wealth. They can do whatever they want. So Shukar, what Venus did is he went to Kuber and he kind of hypnotized him, and he took all his wealth. In state of hypnotism, he took all his wealth, and then the demon became the richest because Kuber is the lord of wealth. So Kuber has much more wealth than Mahendra, like Indra himself. So then when Kuber got back in his senses, so he was like, what should we do? Shall we attack demons or what should we do? So Kuber went to Shiva. So what Shiva got really, like, Lord Shiva, no one can save you from Shiva. And Shiva shouted uh, madly on Venus. So Venus knew that no one can save me from Shiva. So what he did, as Shiva shouted his name, he just went to Kailasha and surrendered himself fully to Shiva. And Shiva was very angry, and he swallowed uh, Venus, like he swallowed uh, Shukra. So he swallowed Shukra. Shukra was like he was inside Shiva, and then Lord like then Parvati kind of pacified him, like pacified Shiva. She said, "Okay, don't do this much." Like he was just doing his duty. He is the guru of this, and when you called, he just came so quickly. He's your uh, follower and so on. So upon this, like Shiva like did not kind of killed him, but he came out from the as a like from the reproductive part of Shiva. He came out. So when he came out from the reproductive part of Shiva, that is why he was called as Shukra, because that is there is in Hindi there is something known as Shukranu, which is the name of semen. So then Parvati said that, see now this is it came out from your semen, so it is now your son. It is equivalent to your son. So then he said sorry and everything, and then Shiva gave him some boon, etc. So the moral of the story is that that is how he got his name Shukra, because it was he came out as a semen of Shiva. Okay, like a semen of Shiva, he came out, and that is why it represents semen. It represents semen quality. It represents spouse, the physical relationship between men and women. It represents reproductive organs. So these are the things which these are all the things which it represents. So going next to Saturn. So Saturn represents basically longevity, sorrow, time. So it represents older people. It represents people who are in service class, like very basic duties which are doing, like servants, gatekeepers, kind of, you know, all these things are the significations of Saturn. It represents service, it represents labor, elders, obstacles. It represents teeth among the body parts. It represents teeth, bones, joints, chronic illness. See why chronic illness? Because chronic illness takes really long. No, it's not that today you've got virus, tomorrow it will show your effect. No, chronic illness means it will you will take time to get ill, and it will you will take much time to get well also. So it also represents delay. It represents sorrow. What sun wants? Sun wants discipline. Okay, so it represents discipline. It represents delays. It represents old age. It also represents detachment. See, as per the story, Saturn, what happened, like uh, Saturn was son of Surya, like sun itself, and sun has another son known Yama, which is the Yamraj, we know. So Yamraj was the elder son, and he is like sun has this the wife of sun was forgotten the name, Samagya, Sangya, yeah, Sangya was the name of the wife of the son, and from Sangya, so this Yama was born. There were three children, Yama, Yami, and there was one more. And then Sangya couldn't bear the heat of sun, so she made her body double kind of thing, which is known as Chaya. And from Chaya, Saturn was born. Later on, Sangya came back, and Chaya had gone. So Saturn was not the real brother of Yama, but yes, he was the brother of Yama. So Yama went away for the meditation and all, and he did tapasya from of Lord Vishnu and then Lord Shiva. He got some boons, and that's why then he got that uh, became the became the Yamraj, and he went back to Sun and told this that I did all the penance and I pleased Shiva and I pleased Vishnu as well, and they have given me this boon and all. Hearing this, Saturn got really jealous, and he said, "You have pleased two of the three murtis. I will please all three of them." And he went to a very hard penance, and the mistake he made, what he did is, he in the same, like, he used the like he was the mantra that he was using is, like, first he was in one line he was calling Shiva, in second line he was calling Vishnu, in third line he was calling uh, Brahma. So he was calling all three of them in one line. So this is not the way that penance should be done. Like, when Brahma was about to, like, they all were pleased, but when Brahma was about to come, so he is saying Vishnu's name, and when Vishnu is about to appear, he is saying Brahma's name, and so there was all confusion, and this penance went on for years and years and years, and it was real everything like this. Say, like, the balance of whole universe was really up, and there was a lot of up and down because of the strict penance. And and against the, like, Brahma came, he told uh, but Brahma finally came. He said, "What do you want?" He said, "I don't want you. I want three of you. All three of you should come." Then Vishnu went. He said, "No, no. I don't want one or two of you. All three of you should come." So all three of them decided and said, "Okay, we will uh, go and fulfill his desires." So his penance, like, went for really, really long, because all getting all three of them in at one time was really difficult, but he was very determined. So Saturn represents all these qualities: the delay, the longevity, the determination, and that's why Saturn also like disciplines. He stayed disciplined, he stayed determined. So all these qualities are represented by Saturn. So next is Rahu. So Rahu, basically, if you'll see, Rahu is represented by just the head without body. Okay, so Ra- Rahu will eat everything, and he cannot digest. He doesn't know where it is going. So he keeps on eating, keeps on eating, keeps on eating. So that's why Rahu represents obsession. He's so if you are obsessed with every something, he will keep on having that kind of thing. He's too much obsessed. So it represents obsession. It represents cravings. It represents illusions, material desires. So a good position of Rahu is actually 11th house. 11, because 11th house is a house of desires, is a house of gains. So this 11th house is a good position of Rahu. If you have Rahu in your chart, the good position is 11th house. In relationship, it represents foreigners, anything which is unconventional. Like, foreigners is a kind of unconventional thing. These days, foreigners are not unconventional, but in old times, seeing a foreigner is a very, no, out of kind of thing, out of box or something, like, you rarely kind of see a foreigner. So Rahu represents unconventional things abroad, unconventional paths, like someone, like most of us are doing engineering, be it MBBS or something. Someone did a someone who is doing very unconventional kind of course, no one has heard of kind of thing, or very few people are taking. So such things are represented by Rahu, unconventional path, unconventional things. Attributes, it represents sudden events, breaking taboos, like, again, no, not following the conventional path, so just breaking the taboos. It also represents confusion. So since Rahu is obsession, it is craving, so it also represents confusions. Affects unusual careers, gain through non-traditional means. So Rahu is also like if your Rahu is not good, you should not go into this speculation kind of thing. You should avoid share market also. But if Rahu is favoring it, it will make you rich overnight. So this Rahu is very, no, the digital world is represented by Rahu. Your mobile phone, your laptop, your internet. These days it's Rahu everywhere. Like these days you need to have a strong Rahu. Then you are the boss kind of, like, because these days you are using the significations of Rahu everywhere. So the last is Ketu. Now Ketu is the body part without head. Okay. So it doesn't eat. So it is detachment. It is renunciation. It is liberation. So Ketu is very kind of, it can take you to very spiritual path. It also represents past life karma, mystical pursuits, but it also represents loss, because if you will look from worldly matters, it will represent loss, separation, spiritual insights, and its effects is spiritual maturity, unconventional wisdom. Okay, so these are the Karakattwas or significations of all nine planets. Any confusions in this?
Can you show me the Ketu? Yeah, Ketu ones.
See, Ketu also represents cuts. Ketu also represents breaks. Like if Ketu is, let's say, in 10th house, so it represents breaks in your career. Ketu is also representative of occult.
Okay, got it.
So if you have Ketu in your 8th house, it's a very strong combination that you will do a lot of research in unconventional things. Okay. So these were the significations of all the nine planets. Now I will just combine it with the significations of houses. Like first house, as I told, first house is the has significations of self, body, health, and sun has also similar signification. It's the signification of soul. Soul is also represented by first house. So that's why if you'll just map major signification. So what this table is doing is, see, every house has some significations, every planet has some signification. So if you'll map major significations of houses with planets, so this table basically represents that most of the significations of first house are also the significations of sun. Most of the significations of second house are also the significations of Jupiter. So that's why we also say that uh, first house ka karak is sun. The significator of first house is sun. The significator of second house is Jupiter, because their significations are matching. So this is all we mean. So whenever we say that, what is the Karaka of first house? Sun. Karaka of second house? Jupiter. Karaka of third house? Because third house represents siblings, it represents courage, it represents effort. Mars also represents these things. So Karaka of third house is Mars. Fourth house is home, mother, property. Although property is represented by Mars, but mother, home, all these things are represented by Moon. So most significations will match with Moon. So fourth house ka karak is Moon. Fifth house again Jupiter, because children. Fifth house is represent children. It represents mantra. Although intellect strong matches more closely with Mercury, but most of the things are represented by Jupiter. Similarly, sixth house, enemies, diseases, service. See, uh, when it comes with to enemy and all, Mars is there. But disease is service, then Saturn is there. So both of them can be called as significators of sixth house. In seventh house, just a minute. Seventh house, spouse, partnership, business, all these things are represented by Mercury. Just a minute. Similarly, eighth house, longevity, transformation. Longevity is basically represented by Saturn, so that's why we say eighth house significator is Saturn. Ninth house, father, dharma, fortune, so Sun and Jupiter. 10th house, basically karma, career, status. These are represented by. I think this should be this is wrong. It should not be Mercury. It should be Saturn. Main is Saturn. Then Sun can also be there. I'll just change it. It should be Saturn. Then 11th house gain. Here it should be Rahu. Gain, network, desires. So it should be Rahu and Mercury. Something is wrong here in this slide. So 12th house, losses, expenses, moksha, which are represented by more closely by Ketu. Okay. So we have significators of different houses, and that's how we found the significator. Okay. So this is clear. Any confusions in this? Shall we continue with few more slides or finish?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Rajesh ji, is it okay? Shall we continue?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, we can continue.
Okay.
Sir, this 11th house, how Mercury and this other one
See,
which you said,
11th house is basically house of gains, house of
against.
desires. So that's why Rahu. And it is also house
Okay,
of networks. Networks is represented by like friends, networks. That is represented by Mercury.
okay,
So this was about the Karakas of different planets and their relationship with houses. See, there is one more, like in one book I found, it had clearly mentioned, like here I have just mentioned one Karaka or sometimes two Karakas of each house. But if you will look properly, uh, every signification might have a different Karaka. Okay, so let's say you want to see, uh, say about you want to talk about wife. So wife is represented by seventh house. It is also represented by Venus. Okay, or let's say you want to see land. Okay, let's talk about land. Okay, that is represented by fourth house, and that is represented by Mars also. So there could be a different karaka, like there could be multiple karakas, but this what I have mentioned here, they are the main ones. But these are not just the significations of every house has many significations. So for each significations you may find a different karaka or different planet. Okay, now the next concept is Karak Bhav Nashaya. Oh, sorry, not Karak. Before that, Karak Bhav and Lord triad. So, what is this? This is known as in, like you can say, Karaka, house, Karaka, and house Lord. So, these are the three things which we have to see. Let's say you have to see any. Let's say someone has come for you regarding, let's say, okay, let's say spouse only, like he wants to know whether he's going to get married, or let's say he has a marriage issue, so he wants to talk to you about some, he wants to see, you want to check how his married life is going to be. So what you will see, marriage life is represented by seventh house, So first of all, you will see seventh house. So the one thing is covered, house. Then house lord. What is the house lord of the seventh house in his chart? Let's say he is Taurus ascendant. Let us say he is Taurus ascendant. So seventh house will be Scorpio for Taurus ascendant, right? Are you with me?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes.
Seventh house will be Scorpio. So you have already analyzed seventh house first. Then seventh house lord will be, because seventh house is Scorpio, so seventh house lord will be Mars. So you will have to analyze Mars. Is Mars strong or not? First you have checked seventh house is strong or not. Then seventh house lord, which is Mars in this case, is it strong or not? Then the Karaka. Karaka of what? Karaka of that particular thing. Now he's come to you for marriage. So Karaka of marriage is Venus. Now you will check, is Venus strong or not? So you have to check these three things. If out of these three things, two things are good, then you will say, okay, you will not face much problems in your marriage. So it's a normal kind of marriage. Marriage. If all three things are good, so very good marriage. If only one thing is good and two things are not good, then there will be some issue. But if all the three things are showing you issues, like, then it is going to be a really difficult marriage, really difficult marriage. So this is how we, so when we are doing predictions, when we are looking at any chart, so we have to look at house, house lord, and Karaka. So now you know which house to look first. So Karakas are the most important, like one of the most important concept when we talk about like any form of astrology, any system of astrology. Because if you don't remember the Karaka, which house you will see, which house lord will you see, which planet will you see, you will not be able to judge anything if you don't know the significations. So significations you should, मतलब वो तो आपको याद होनी ही चाहिए. There is no alternative for that. So once you know the significations, the easiest, like the simplest method is house, house lord, Karaka. These are the three things that you should analyze. Now you know, we will see how to analyze the strength of house. Okay, you have already like using Shadbala. The simplest method is using Shadbala. You can see the strength of the planet. So you know, house house analysis is one thing. House lord you can analyze, Karaka you can analyze, because Karaka will also be planet. So these three things you have to analyze, and then only you can predict. So this is a very simple and very basic method which you will found in any, like most of the Parashari books. Although there are many refined methods, but this is the most simple and most basic method. Okay. So house, house lord, Karaka. Any confusions in this part?
No. Clear.
Okay. So another one rule is, so there are many rules. So there is one rule known as Karako Bhav Nashaya. So what it means is that, let's say, so let me stick to this example only. Let's say Venus is the Karaka of marriage. Okay. Now you are analyzing marriage. Okay. Now Venus sits in the seventh house itself, the house of marriage itself. Okay. So now that particular house, seventh house also represents marriage. Now Venus sitting in it is also represents marriage. So that house will be bit like will be bit disturbed. It will be too much inclined towards the significations of one thing. Okay. So this will do harm to that house. This is known as Karako Bhav Nashayad. If Karaka is sitting in his own house, like not own house, Karaka is sitting in that house for which it is representing the signification, then it will do some disturbance to the significations, like those regarding those significations. This is the rule which is known as Karako Bhav Nashaya. When a natural Karaka of Bhav alone in that sits alone in that Bhav, may results may face obstruction or distortion. So this may cause some obstruction or distortion. Why? Because house becomes overloaded by single bhav, single graha tattva, lack of diversity, results signification delays, delayed, mixed, one-sided or compromised. It doesn't ruins, but like there are also other aspects. So this is not just one. Like you cannot just say कि वीनस 7th हाउस में बैठ गया तो मतलब आपकी तो मैरिड लाइफ गई. This is just one aspect. Like this just adds one negative point. That's it. But you should understand that this is adding one negative point. Okay. So although
Sir, one one query. If Saturn is in sixth house, then same Karako Bhava Nasa rule applies there.
see now it depends which signification are you seeing. Saturn in sixth house, what will it destroy?
I
Regarding
think is
service.
disease.
Regarding
Service and
service.
disease.
Saturn is a
Okay.
signification of service.
Mm.
Saturn is a signification of service. So it will
Yes.
add -1 to your service.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, like -1 point. But if other factors are doing good, then that -1 will get sidelined. But it will add -1, like add a negative point to this. Okay, so I think we are done for today. Rest we'll cover in the next classes.